Other quarterback news from the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, a team Mike Golic is familiar with. The Eagles are committed, air quotes, committed to Jalen Hurts. Don't take it from me as if you ever would, though. Here is the owner of the team, Jeffrey Lurie, explaining why the Eagles are all in with Jalen Hurts.
We have a young 23-year-old playoff quarterback and who gets better every year in college and in the pros. He's had really one full year. No one knows where that's going to end up, but I think what you do know is you have a guy that is incredibly dedicated, excellent leader of men. Players around him gravitate to him. He will do anything and everything to get better and work on every weakness he has and try to maximize every strength he has. And that's why we're committed to Jalen, at age 23. Who knows what the future holds, right?
Well, and if anyone knows that, it's the Eagles. It was in 2013 that Jeffrey Lurie said our number one priority is to find a franchise quarterback. And not long after that, Nick Foles had 7 touchdown passes, no interceptions against the Raiders, and they looked like they had a franchise quarterback. And then it didn't work. And then they trade for Sam Bradford, and then they trade up for Carson Wentz. And then along the way, Nick Foles comes back and wins the Super Bowl as the backup. And then Wentz isn't the guy, and now it's Hurts. And Mike, my theory is with this quarterback salary range turning into an accordion opened completely wide, if they can find a way to drop Jalen Hurts in at a tier of compensation long-term that is good but not franchise quarterback great, they have plenty of money left over for the rest of their players, and they can build a competitive team and keep a competitive team around him. If he doesn't make himself think that he deserves $40-45 million a year, if he's content in the $25 to $30 million per year range when he gets his next deal, that may be the way to crack the code. If you can convince the guy to not expect to be paid in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks. So there may be some wisdom to this. You deliberately take a guy who isn't among the top 5 or 10 in the NFL, but you make it work around him. You don't pay him like a top guy, and maybe you have a team that contends year in and year out.
So, with them, normally you would say a guy that completes 61% of his passes, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, that team is not going to get led to a Super Bowl unless they have a great running team. Well, they were number 1 in the league in running. What do they average? Just under 160 yards a game. So they do run it incredibly well. But still, I think you have to have that passing aspect to get you over the top, because we talked about that with the Tennessee Titans and the rushing game they had with Derrick King, or Derrick Henry, I'm sorry. King Henry, I should say. And not a great passing game with Tannehill. So how far do you go? Devontae Smith, we love what he did. Goddard, your tight end, was your second leading receiver. Rager, is let's be honest, as a first rounder, is not panning out to what they thought he was going to be. So what are you building around him? And does the rushing game stay? They finally committed to it like they should have, because it wasn't happening early, and they committed to it, and it works well. And obviously Jalen's a big part of that as well. So you have to get the good mixture in there of, okay, we need to be a great running team and follow it up with some great passing. And I'm sure they would love Jalen to be in that 65, 67% completion rate, 68%, get into the 20 touchdown area, and try and keep it at low double digits, if double digits in interception, to go with that running game. And I think then you have something.
Nick Sirianni, coach of the Eagles, who did a great job last year pivoting his approach toward the strengths of his team and going from a team that was passing it a lot to running it a lot to getting to the playoffs to giving the Buccaneers not exactly run for their money, but nothing to be ashamed of. Here's Nick Sirianni talking about Jalen Hurts and what kind of guy Sirianni deems him to be.
This guy, again, I go back to the type of guys that maximize their football potential. And what are the common denominators of those guys? They have high character. They have high football IQ. They love football. They're tough and they're competitive. Jalen is all of those things. And so Jalen is working on trying to get, every angle he can to get better. And so whether that's working with a quarterback guy or studying film, different ways of doing that, he's doing everything he can do to get better.
And that's good. That's all they can hope for. And they may have something here Not everyone's going to have a top 5 or a top 10 quarterback. The challenge is having the number one team, the team that at the end of the day wins the Super Bowl, and it's about building a team around him. And we do overemphasize the quarterback position. I know it's the most important position on the field, but sometimes we put too much focus on it. Plenty of teams have quarterbacks who are getting paid a lot of money, and they're not even getting to the playoffs. Look at the Vikings. They've got 4 years with Kirk Cousins. He's got one playoff appearance in that time, and he got a new contract recently that pays him another big, giant bag full of money. And I know you need to have a quarterback to even remotely have a chance, but maybe there's a way to build your team where you don't need to have a quarterback that's making all that money and you can have that team around him. And that may be the formula that the Eagles are considering going forward, Mike.
Listen, I would like that formula. I think it would be a good formula. I think this offseason is a monster offseason for Jalen for self-scouting. Go over your game. Obviously, you can work with your receivers in the offseason, go meet somewhere and do your thing, but really work on your game. He averaged also, about 9 runs a game, averaged, just under 6 yards a carry, had 10 touchdowns. So I like that. 9 times, I think you're pushing the envelope of, is he running too much? Is he going to get hurt? Remember when Lamar Jackson first starting, he was averaging about 16, 17 runs a game, which was way too much. You're just asking for trouble there. So it's about 9 times for Jalen, and he is a very dangerous runner. So between his running and the hopeful improvements that he will make in the pocket, and I say in the pocket because we know guys like Jalen and mobile guys can move and do things out of the pocket, but you're still your best version when you can do it in the pocket. And I say that about any running quarterback. If they can stand in the pocket, make the reads, make the throw, a second after the ball snap, know where you're going with the ball because you know what the defense is and you know what your guys are doing, that's where you improve in your game. Don't just rely on your physical abilities. Self-scout and work on making all your decisions a little bit quicker.
By the way, best Eagles-related news of the week, by far, bar none, players aside, the return come 2023 of the Kelly Green uniforms and the helmet with the real wing, not that stylized midnight green. I miss those uniforms. I wish they were the full-time uniforms, and I'm glad they're bringing them back. This is the NFL abandoning the one helmet rule. Come next year, the Eagles will have midnight green most of the time, but they'll have Kelly Green a couple of times a year. Those will be special occasions, Mike.
Oh, I love that. Listen, there was nothing like putting that uniform on. I loved it as well, and I saw the picture, Randall Cunningham in that jersey all over Twitter that's showing these are the color they're going to wear. Very cool. Brings back a lot of great memories for me, for sure, and hopefully we'll see what it does for the Eagles.
Coming in 2023, the Kelly Green.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.